the essential training series for architects.
In this tutorial, we are going to talk about cameras and how to utilize them efficiently in your workflow. In the Scene Building panel, go to Camera and click on New Camera. Click on the camera, and in the Objects Attributes panel, change the name of the camera. To activate the new camera, simply drag it to your 3D area. Notice how the name of the active camera changed to your new camera. And as you can see, while we're moving the camera, the position is changing according to our movement. We can change the field of view of the camera by moving this slider in the Camera Attributes tab. A smaller value would allow for only a small portion of the camera's view to be accessible, while with greater values, we cover a bigger area by increasing the camera's depth. The default value for this attribute is 30, but depending on the scene, you may need to increase it to cover more objects in a single shot. If you click on the snapshot icon, a thumbnail will be created for that camera view. If you change the camera's view afterwards, you can still go back to that view by clicking on the thumbnail icon. This is very helpful when you decide to use a certain camera angle and location to render, but still want to have the freedom to navigate the scene. Select the camera again, and click on the Depth of Field option to enable it. The focus distance parameter controls at which distance away from the camera to have the focus. You can set a numerical value, or you can click the button next to the focus distances field and pick the location from the 3D area where you need the focus to be. Click on the armchair. SimLab Composer calculated the distance between the object we selected and the camera and posted the focus distance accordingly. The lens radius controls the amount of blur to apply to the scene as we move further away from our focus point. Low values result in a faint blur effect, while higher values create a significant distortion. Set this to a low value of 0.01 and render the scene. The area close to the camera is blurry, while the area near the armchair where we set the focus distance is very sharp. Now, increase the lens radius value and notice how the blur's effect is getting more intense. Click on the focus distance locator and pick an area close to the camera. The focus is now shifting, making the area close to the camera sharp while blurring the background. It's very simple and effective to use. Turn the depth of field off and activate the animation panel. Go to the Cameras tab. There are some recording assisting tools available here, along with the animation timeline. In the animation timeline, you can move the slider to any frame you want by dragging it. You can also set the maximum number of frames for your scene. Set the frame to 0. And from the Camera tab, click Capture. Move the slider to frame 30. Adjust the camera's view and click Capture again. SimLab Composer has created a camera animation between frame 0 and frame 30 with a smooth transition between the two captured camera views. Place another keyframe on the timeline following the same steps. You have the ability to change the keyframe's position in the timeline by dragging them. This allows for greater control over the transition's timing. Click the play button to play the animation. You have created a fast-moving camera by bringing the keyframes closer to each other, and a slow camera by expanding the other two frames. Click on Tutorial Cam in the timeline and click on Delete All Animations to remove the animation you have just created. The round table and the helical animation are useful for displaying product designs rather than an architectural one, but I will cover them quickly. Click on the round table animation. Composer has created a frame-by-frame animation starting at frame 0 and ending at the scene's last frame. Click play to see the animation. It's an animation rotating the camera around its center in a 360-degree angle. Delete this animation and create a helical animation. It's very similar to the round table animation, but along with rotating around the center, it's also diving down, following a path of a helix. Director's Record captures any moment you make with the camera and records it. Click it and move your camera to multiple views. As you can see, the animation slider is moving while you're moving the camera. Click pause to stop the recording. Reset the timeline slider to frame 0 and click play. The camera is not moving as we recorded, and that is because SimLab Composer has created a new camera named Director Camera and stored the animation in it. Activate the Director Camera by dragging it to your scene. Set the timeline's current frame to 0 and click play. Now, you can see your animation through the newly created camera. Pick Center allows you to set the center of the camera in your 3D area. Click it, and then click on a point in your scene. Click on the Show button to have a visual indicator of where your camera's center is. Notice that the camera is rotating around the point you picked. Click on Interior. And under the Walkthrough tab, click Start. The Walkthrough Settings window will come up. Imagine creating a virtual human walking through your scene. You can set the height, which is the vision level for your virtual human. The width parameter controls the width of the gaps he's able to go through. If you set it to a high value, for example, 1 meter, that means that your virtual human's width of 1 meter will not allow him to go through gaps or any passages with values lower than 1 meter. Set it to 0.2, which will give you the agility to go through most areas. The movement speed controls the pace at which the camera will move in any direction, and the rotational speed controls the speed of the camera's panning. Step height sets the maximum height of an object that the camera can climb. And since you are in walkthrough mode, you will not be able to penetrate walls as in regular cameras. You don't want your virtual human to stop at small bumps or steps, but rather be able to go up the stairs and step on nether objects. Setting the step height to around 35 centimeters is generally adequate for most architectural designs. You also have the option to create a new camera for the walkthrough, or apply the walkthrough to your selected camera. Keep the Create New Camera on and click Pick. This will give you the option to decide where your walkthrough is going to start. Click on the ground and a vertical arrow will be created at that point. Click on the green check if you're happy with the location you picked. Now, another arrow will appear. Dragging the circle around the arrow will change the direction the camera will be facing at the beginning of the walkthrough. Click the green check again to engage in the walkthrough mode. The active camera now is the new walkthrough camera. Move in any direction by clicking the arrows on your keyboard, and rotate the camera by pressing the Z and X keys on your keyboard. Increase or decrease the navigation speed by controlling the movement speed slider. If you move the slider to the far left, your directional movement speed will be barely noticeable. So set it to a reasonable value, and click Capture. What this will do is save that view as a point of interest, in case you need to go back to that location. Move the camera again using the arrows and the Z and X keys and click Capture again. Now we have 2 walkthrough points saved. Double-click any of them to go back to the location you have captured. Click Record and move around in your scene to record your movement. Click Stop when you're done, and a window will pop up. In this window, you can specify at which frame the recorded walkthrough would start, and also set how many frames per second to record. This allows for a control over the speed and quality of your recording. You can also choose to stop walkthrough mode or be able to resume it after saving the recorded animation. Click Save. Set the timeline to frame 0 and click Play to view your recorded animation.